Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we're going to go over the brand new announced Thor champion, Thor Feyhammer, we see right here in the background here. And he is announced as the next fusion, if you guys were not aware. It's going to be starting on Thursday, September 5th, so about 6 days from now. And he will be a mixed fusion, it is confirmed. So that's going to be, it could mean acquiring pieces to build epics and then leveling the epics and then fusing them into Thor, for example. So it could be getting fragments to build epics. That's what I think is going to happen. Because a traditional fusion, usually you have to pick up rares, build those rares, and then put them into, and then make them into epics, and then build those epics, and then goes into Thor. In this case, it's probably get fragments, build epics, and then fuse those epics into Thor. In the past, these fusions have been a little bit tricky because they don't really offer you, for example, a chance to recover if you miss a rare. If you miss the rare, you could kind of recover by pulling ancient shards or mystery shards and try to pick up the rare if it's a non-void. But in this case, if it's fragments, most of the times there's no opportunity to get additional fragments. And then if you're out of the rare, you're basically out unless you pull the epic. It's a little bit tricky, guys. So this is definitely something that you guys want to be prepared for. And like I said, it's going to be September 5th. That's 6 days away. It doesn't give you guys much time. But hopefully you guys have been saving some resources and preparing for this fusion. Thor, here we go. Aesthetically, he looks awesome. You know, I'm digging it. I'm digging it now. Like, I didn't really dig the red hair stuff, like in the beginning when they released like Loki's image and all that stuff. But after a while, I was definitely digging it. I love this like extra orc head in the back here. It's kind of crazy. He's, you know, covered in ice or whatever. But yeah, Mjolnir looks pretty cool. It would have been cooler if maybe he had more lightning coming out of it. I don't know. But yeah, overall it looks solid. Let's go into his kit. Sorry guys, I am feeling a little bit under the weather, so my voice might sound a little bit different for you guys. But here is Thor's kit. Keep in mind that Thor, although is being released as part of this Asgard Divide content drop, he will be in the champion pool moving forward. So he'll, you know, you can pull him from a shard after this you know, this content event ends. So he's not like a super time exclusive champion, but yeah, just something to consider. Let's go with his A1, Wrath of Mjolnir. So that's his hammer. Each attacks one enemy twice. Each hit has a 20% chance of repeating. Oh, has a 20% chance of repeating the attack. So attack once, 20% to repeat. Attack once, 20% to repeat. So that's pretty good. You know, small odds, I guess, but it's still something. And then each hit decreases the target's turn meter by 10%. Whenever somebody has like an A1 decreased turn meter, you gotta go back to the old goat himself, the Armiger, and his attack decreases turn meter by 30%. So the thing is, the A1 on Thor does have a 10% per hit, which is probably similar to somebody like Visix, who also has a double hit turn meter drop. So let's see what Visix's A1 does. I don't remember exactly. Double hit, 80% chance, so 100% chance, so same as Thor, and then 15%. And then it has a fill too. So it has a fill. So instead of a fill, Thor has the chance for more than one A1, which means more than 20% drop. Okay. Yeah, very reasonable A1. Definitely good at like controlling troubled minions, for example. We'll work on some bosses. Going to be decent against like Fire Knight normal, for example. Yeah, where you can decrease turn meter. Against Dark Phase should be pretty good as well. So just moving on to his A2 here, 3 turn cooldown. We got 20% damage from books, same as his A1. I'd like that they didn't include books on his A1 for like additional chance or anything, just to save you some books. After hitting the first enemy, we'll hit every other enemy in a random order. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, don't really see this mechanic. If you guys are not aware, when you guys deal damage, there's actually an order of how the damage flows through the enemy team. So it's not really specified anywhere, but that's kind of what happens. But in this case, it's specified that it would be random order. I'm not sure how good or bad that will be. I guess it could be a good thing because most players in PvP, they kind of know like the flow of the damage. So they position their champions in a way that is beneficial to them, usually. So maybe a random order can be good in that regard. Following the initial hit, each subsequent hit increases the damage inflicted by 25% up to 100%. I guess this could be good in some places. Yeah, I mean, it could be definitely good. It could be definitely good. I could see this working out in like Hydra, for example, where you like splash one enemy and then it goes to another enemy. But it might not work out in Hydra too, because you kind of don't want to get feared. For example, you don't want to hit the fear head and then have your next hits not work out. Ignore block damage and unkillable. It's kind of a shame to not see ignore defense here. That would make him like definitely hit a lot harder. Ignore block damage and unkillable. I guess it's kind of interesting. Not a bad thing, but it would have been nice to see Stone Skin or ignore defense or something to make him a little bit more viable. Hammer of Heaven, 4 turn down to 3 turn, has a bunch of books in it. Debuff chance, damage debuff chance. Attack all enemies before attacking. Places increased attack, increased crit damage. Good, those are great. Has a 75% chance of permanently decreasing the resistance of each enemy by 10%. I don't know how viable that is. I mean, that could be good in many places, but usually decreased resistance isn't that necessary or insane. And usually people don't build around decreased resistance. Also has a 75% chance, 100% when play booked, placing 30% decreased speed on all enemies for 1 or 2 turns. Now, I think this move could be good for Hydra. In Hydra right now, like there's a lot of nukers that are really pumping out a lot of damage, and having a nuker that can help out with like decreased speed or even decreased resistance could be extra viable, or just make his kit a little bit more player friendly. But I like this move. I don't think the decreased resistance will be generally that insane for something like PvP, for example. But for Hydra, it can be good. And then decreased speed, of course, is very good for Hydra. We'll have to see how hard this move hits before we make any kind of verdict on it. But I think it looks okay. Unfortunately, for damage dealers, you usually don't want to build accuracy. And I think you could kind of forego accuracy on Thor if you wanted to. Like his A1 is the Terminator drop. You don't really need accuracy on it if you don't care about the Terminator drop. And if you don't care about decreased resistance or decreasing speed, you don't need the accuracy on Thor. Let's hop into his passive here, Sky Rupture. Every time this champion deals damage, increase the thunder count by 1. Stacks up to 10. Each thunder count increases his champion's crit damage by 3%, up to 30%. That's pretty significant, I guess. Once the thunder counter reaches 10, attacks all enemies and places a stun debuff for 1 turn. After attack, the thunder counter goes to 0. It's an interesting move. It's kind of like damage without taking a turn, similar to Ronda. So I'm thinking if you use him for Hydra, how will this work? You can pair him with ally attack. You can have him with counterattack accessories. You can pair him in a counterattack team. It says every time he deals damage. So his A1 deals damage twice, potentially more. So it could stack up the thunder counters pretty fast. And depending how strong this AoE is, it doesn't really say, it doesn't say like he's using one of his AoEs. It looks like a separate AoE for Sky Rupture. So we don't know anything about this move, how strong this Sky Rupture could be. If it's really strong, for example, like Baron's original Skybreaker, I think. It could be insane. We don't know yet. And then it places a stun for 1 turn. The stun, obviously we won't be attributing too much to it unless you build him with accuracy. And I think his kit, you can get away with no accuracy and just focus on the damage part. So that'll be interesting to see whether his damage will be up to par. We did see that his main stats, his attack stat was not disappointing. His main attack stat was 1553, I think. So about the mid 1500s, which is very reasonable for, it's actually probably considered good for attack-based damage dealer. So no disappointments there. So definitely looking out for his multipliers to see how strong these moves will be, especially his passive. His passive could be make or break, and you could definitely, capitalize on just his passive to deal damage if you need to. So it's kind of cool. His aura 30% ally attack in all battles, which is great. So it buffs himself, buffs his team, and all that. So on first thought, he looks very decent, especially for a fusion, which means he is going to be accessible to more people as opposed to just being from shards. He looks very, very decent. But yeah, the verdict's going to be out on whether he actually deals a lot of damage. If he can't deal damage, I don't think the utility from his decreased speed makes him instantly very good. He definitely needs to deal damage. But I have a feeling that either his A2 or A3 hits super weak and his Sky Rupture like pumps, or his Sky Rupture deals basically no damage and his A2 and A3 deals a little bit more damage. I can't see all three of his skills dealing insane amounts of damage because the cycling of Sky Rupture could be pretty insane. So he'd just be passively dealing damage nonstop. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see. We'll have to check him out when we playtest him and see how he goes against some of the more meta damage dealers. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate your time as always. Have a great Friday and a great start to your weekend. And I'll see you guys in another video soon.